About the honeybees. They're going to do what they're going to do, and what's going to happen is what is going to happen. There's nothing we can do about it by getting upset, by arguing, by using our words. It is time to use our bodies, our souls, our spirits, our minds, our whole selves in cooperation with each other. Incorporated. We, the people, incorporated with each other to build the new, because the old is dying. We are experiencing the last grips of the death vice. The ultimate power grabs, the ultimate freak out. We must have control. Just let them think they do. They don't. They can't. That's not how nature works. We don't have time to fight them. We must build the new. That's the message of this moon. Greetings, friends, fellow wanderers, fellow lovers of the cosmos. My name is Eve Star. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the dark moon in Aquarius that's happening momentarily on the 29th of January, 2025. That's as far as I got in my head. No, really, truthfully, there's so much coming through that the practice for me right now is to go slow. My Mercury is in Pisces, as I have mentioned before. To go slow and to allow what wants to be spoken to be spoken. So this new moon in Aquarius, wow, the word that just came to mind was gonzo. Do you remember gonzo journalism? That happened before my time, but it was like Jack Kerouac and all those characters. 2 weeks ago, I did one of these films, and it's like a whole different planet since then, isn't it? The world is just so strange and getting stranger. And actually what's happening is not that the world is getting stranger so much as that the veil is lifting from our eyes and we are seeing the strange. Those of us who have been doing the work of lifting the veil from our eyes for years now are like, whoa, there's a lot more people in this room here with us now. There's a lot more people whose eyes are being opened to the strangeness of reality. And this moon that's coming up, it's at 9 degrees of Aquarius. It has a lovely trine to Jupiter, very harmonious, and I want to mention that, but not say anything else about it during our entire time together. Well, I mean, I might. It's not like a rule. But the thing that I want to focus on is a configuration that is building, that is going to perfect this summer, and that is going to be with us for quite a few years, involving the outer planets. And yeah, let me say what that is, and then we'll do a little drawing. So I have my blank sheet. We're doing 2 today because on one of them, I'm going to show you this configuration that's going to be with us for a really long time. And then on the other one, I'm going to show you the moon because at this dark moon, this new moon that's happening, this configuration, other planets come into it and make this beautiful specimen of sacred geometry that I am feeling is very telling about the years ahead of us. So that's what we're going to do. So the configuration is outer planets Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus, all in harmonious relationship with each other. Pluto and Uranus will be trine. Neptune will be in the middle, creating a sextile with both planets. A sextile is half of a trine, 60 degrees. The sextile is a harmonious aspect. It's half of a trine, but it's this really interesting blend of harmony and challenge. It also has some similarities energetically to a square in that there's work involved. You can build with this shape. The shape that it creates is a hexagon when it's completed. And you will notice that the shape that is created by bees when they make their honeycomb is a hexagon. This is a shape for building. You'll also note the harmonious nature of bees. So we're going to draw it. Okay, so we're going to do an Aries rising chart rather than the full moon chart of my location. Maybe we'll do an Aries rising chart on both. So Aries rising chart, and we're just going to draw in the planets and the aspects that we are talking about. So it's just in this portion of the zodiac. Hear the geese's honking. In Aquarius, we have Pluto, and then I'll do their current locations. Over the coming years, they're going to move through Aquarius, Saturn. They're going to move through Aquarius, whoever this is, and Gemini. Okay, so Pluto is currently at 1 degree of Aquarius in some minutes, really almost 2 degrees. Neptune is at 27 degrees of Pisces, not in Aries yet. At 27 degrees and some change. And Uranus also is not quite in place here in Taurus at 23 degrees. By the summer, Neptune will have moved into Aries, Uranus will have moved into Gemini. Alrighty, so where I want to start with this, so we're looking at a moon phase, right? We're looking at the dark moon, the new moon, and we're trying to understand our own personal experience. And we're going to talk about that first. And then we're going to talk about the collective experience, because it's always affecting our individual experience. And right now, in this moment of time, that can be seen in the extreme. And this makes sense for this dark moon. I really believe that this dark moon is quite revelatory for what is to come, not just for the next lunar cycle, but for the unfolding of the rest of this decade, which, you know, is also gonna just be the rest of our lives because it's all connected. So this is a very, very revelatory moon. It's a seed. It's the beginning of something. Lunar cycles, dark moon cycles. Dark moons are always the beginning of the lunar cycle. So outer planets are like low notes in a song. And when they move, at the outer planets move very slowly, and their change can be imperceptible moment to moment, day to day, but over time, their change is obvious. So, however, they tend to be quite perceptible in the moment when they change signs. So whenever there's a sign change of a planet, of an outer planet, a tone shift, we feel it ripple through the collective. These are really collective effects that we can observe these planets having. And then from there, it ripples down into the individual. Just think about when there's music playing and the bass is cranked too high, you feel that in your body. Well, you always feel the bass notes in your body, but you're not always aware of them. So when the outer planets move into a new sign, it's like someone drove by your house with the bass cranked up. That's when one planet, just think about Pluto. Think about how different it is right now compared to last November, October 2024. Pluto moved out of Capricorn for the last time in our lifetime and is now in Aquarius for the next couple of decades. So that's just one planet. We have two more following suit, Neptune and Uranus. So all three moving together is like someone parked outside of your house with the bass pumping and stayed there all night long. Metaphorically speaking, it's going to be much more than a single night. So we're all feeling it. We're not all conscious of it. The work that we do with astrology is to bring consciousness to our experience and just understanding this intensity, this volume of frequency of this tone shift and why it feels like so much. Just that in and of itself is very helpful. So I wanted to state that first. The quality of this tone shift is one of both harmony and challenge. This is like the harmonious angles, the trines, the challenging angles, the squares, and the oppositions got together and had a baby. It's unity. This is the key word. This is the key word. It's unity. All harmony all the time equals gluttony. It equals zoning out. Ultimately, it equals like when you overconsume, you can't enjoy what you're consuming anymore. All challenge all the time equals misery. We need both, and we need both at the same time. And the sextile is such a gorgeous aspect for this. And I am personally really excited that this is happening right now and that we get to experience it. So I want to talk about it from one angle, but before I do, I want to mention the great Austin Coppock and how he speaks of this configuration in the astrology podcast Year Ahead edition they released in December. So it's Chris Brennan, Austin Coppock, and Austin, and I'll put it in the show notes. I'll put a link to the podcast and the time that he begins to talk about it, this configuration. He calls it the flying wedge, and that was the name that came to him. And then he looked up what a flying wedge, like, is it used in any other context? It's used in 3 other contexts. And I want to highlight this because this is happening. He's spot on. We're observing this. And then I also want to give you my perspective on it and how it can be beneficial to us individually, and also how it can be beneficial to those of us who are building the new. That's us, y'all. So it's important that we see what's happening in our world, and it's also important, equally important, that we see what it is that we are going to do with that same energy. So the flying wedge, firstly, is a football play that was banned due to fatalities. It's when football players line up in the same mathematical proportions as this 3-person sextile, and they just run the field, and anyone in their way gets run over. It was banned. It was the most successful football play of all time, and it was banned for fatalities. 2, it's a military term. It's a military lineup of human beings in battle. Very effective. 3, it's a corporate term used to describe when one person gets hired into upper management and then brings in all of their friends and very quickly, over a short period of time, replaces the upper management. So all 3 of these, you can see, creates this vast sweeping change that cannot be stopped and that shifts things utterly and completely from one way of being into another. And we're watching that happening throughout all the 2020s. These are not the only planets involved in this shift, but this is like, I don't know, this feels super, super central to me, like really core to what we're experiencing. So I'm going to pause and draw. I'm going to draw out what's happening with this new moon, and then we're going to talk about the unity perspective of the flying wedge. I'm calling it the honeycomb. Okay, so I want to start off by also mentioning that these 2 have been in sextile with each other for our entire lives. Pluto and Neptune went into sextile with each other in the 50s. So some people still alive, for sure, didn't have this. But then they were semi-sextile, and then I think their conjunction was like 1891. So we're working off a cycle that started in 1891. And these 2 have been in conjunction for a very long time, since the 50s. They got kind of wide. Their sextile. The sextile widened in the 80s and the 90s, and then into the early 2000s, and in the 20-teens, they began to get close again. And they're going to be in sextile for quite a few years to come. I can't remember exactly how many years, but on the level of decades, maybe less than 2 decades-ish. So this is a low note that we don't know a world in which, most of us don't know a world in which we're not hearing this sound. So Uranus is more slow moving and is coming in to engage with these 2 in this way, in this dance that they've been doing for a long time. And then when Uranus moves out, the tone will shift again. But this Uranus piece is what makes this sound really new and really different. And isn't that just fitting for Uranus? Innovation and change. Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. Aquarius is the future. Aquarius is the collective. Aquarius is unity, harmony of species. This is not a lack of individuality. This is not a loss of individuality, but this is unity of mind. This is working together to create something much more powerful and kick ass than people can do individually. Vying for control is not ultimate intelligence. So that's a little bit about that. Let's look at this moon. So we're going to do Aries rising. Make sure that's centered. Okay. Not going to draw everything with the moon, just what's in play, but I will draw the moon on this one. All right. The moon is in Aquarius, right here at 9 degrees. Dark moon, so that means the sun and the moon are there. Sun. moon, 9 degrees. Again, Pluto is here at 1 degrees. Neptune is here at 27 degrees. I'm also going to draw the North Node at 28 degrees. This is most certainly a fated moment in time. These nodal activations, well, they're part of the whole configuration that we're going to draw, but these nodal activations just make everything. Nodes are portals. They're where eclipses happen. So when the nodes are aspecting a configuration, then something is coming through from somewhere else to this realm. Here we have Uranus, 23 degrees. All of these are the degrees plus some change. I could also round up. That's a choice that some astrologers make. My clients don't like it. That's why I don't do it. Okay, so next, what is quite interesting is this little Mars, this little Marsy poo. Mars loves to be called Marsy poo. Here in Cancer. So Mars is retrograde right now, as you all are very well aware of, whether or not you've listened to any astrologer mention it yet. Guaranteed you're aware of it. Mars is really occupying this closer point at the cusp with these other planets because he's in this retrograde motion. Like, he's already gone past that cusp once, twice, and will hit it again. So even though technically Mars is at 21 degrees, you can really feel the activation of this cusp here because of Mars's movement right now, more so than Uranus. Uranus, we just feel coming like a wall of force. But Mars has already been there and back and is also coming, even though currently Mars is retrograde. And then we have the South Node here in Virgo at 28 degrees. And then here, up here in Scorpio, we have an asteroid goddess, even though less in the consciousness of, in the immediate consciousness of many people. A lot of astrologers do not look at the asteroid goddesses, but they are highlighting the feminine polarity in the context of astrology, which it has been really unbalanced to the masculine polarity. So these are not any less felt, even though we don't talk about them as much in astrology. They don't really have those dots. I just did that for fun. And this is Juno. Okay, so check this out. Check this shit out. This is a hexagon. I'm trying to remember that Alt J song, Tessellate. Let's tessellate. I wish I could sing it because I can't put it on the video. All right, it's not a perfect hexagon. It's not perfect in the sky either. So let's talk about that. It's also not perfect in my drawing, but it's not perfect in the sky, but it is really close because Uranus is headed in this direction. Mars has been here twice and is headed in this direction soon, will be headed soon. So yeah, let's talk about that. Okay, so I learned astrology through doing this, through drawing the charts. I literally couldn't think about it. I couldn't just sit still and think about it. I had to engage with it. I had to interact with it. And through that experience, years and years and years of doing this, I've been doing this since 2013, you feel the movement of the planets in your body, and you feel these geometrical shapes, the sacred geometry. You feel it moving, because it is moving. There is no such thing as an astrological chart. An astrological chart is what we do in order to slow the thing down long enough to look at it, to take it into our little bitty monkey minds, to sit still. It's actually a stillness. Astrology is a practice in stillness. To sit still long enough to perceive and to hear and to receive what is being expressed by the divine creator in this phenomena, this observable phenomena that is never still. It's always moving. So, when you have a configuration like this where certain planets aren't exact and they're not in orb, and like different astrologers have different ideas of what orb is. So when two planets are conjunct to the degree and the minute, that's called perfection. They've perfected their conjunction. And when they're to 3 degrees or less, that's called in orb of their conjunction. But different astrologers and different astrological systems have different orbs. Some, and also, it seems to me obvious that there's a wider orb for the moon. The moon moves so fast, than for Pluto, who moves very slow. That's what I used to think until I paid attention long enough and realized how many years before Pluto hit something in my chart, I was experiencing it. Like I was feeling that force coming for me. So they're moving. This is a sacred geometrical shape, literally undulating through space. And when you draw it, you can see the dimensions come out of one dimension, even though this is one-dimensional. But when you're interacting with it, because these beings are alive and their personalities, their energies begin to reveal themselves when you engage with them, that it's like they bring this 3-dimensional awareness to your body when you're drawing them. So that is what I offer the field, and that is also what, as a perspective, but that is also what I teach and how I offer readings. And I am creating an online school, fast as my little being can make it happen, but it's not going to happen any faster than it's supposed to. So just putting that in there. But yeah, you can really get in touch with these shapes in your body and feel them, and feel like I can sense in my body, in my contemplation of the planets and this movement that I also understand with my intellect, and outside of myself, into my relationships and my individual life. And then I can look outside of myself in the world and see it playing out. And all astrologers do this. This is what astrology is. This is just how I do it. And yeah, so here's the unity piece. So I'm again going to speak to individuals. That's what we're going to speak about. We're not going to talk about politics here on this channel, ever. I'm not a loner. I'm not a lone wolf, but I had a period in my life, about a decade, when I was really bringing this work through, that I needed everybody to go away, and I was a total loner, and it almost killed me, physically, practically. It was not good. It was is what I needed to do. I needed that experience. That was part of my soul growth. But what I learned through that in a really real, tangible way was the intelligence of unity. That when you are all alone, life is so much more difficult. And when you do life with people, life becomes harmonious and easeful, even when there are challenges. And what more than one person can accomplish together becomes astounding. This is, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. What 100 people can accomplish alone, each of them alone, and then you look at the accomplishments and examine them, versus what 100 people can accomplish together. No contest. No contest. So we are really in a time like mega, like hardcore, like nothing we've ever experienced before. We are in a time where we are finding our tribe. We're finding our people. Terence McKenna said, find the others. Find the others. There is no other way that we are going to make it through. And when we come together in unity, not only will we make it through, but we will make paradise. And I assure you that paradise is not dull. These are not the Christian art in the Christian bookstore paintings of clouds in the sky and Jesus as a white dude in a robe, like with his hands out like this, and all the people just like gazing sickeningly sweet up at him, and you're just like, oh my God, that's the most boring thing ever. We do not lose our individuality in paradise. Things do not become less interesting. They become more interesting. Now, when we look out into the world, we are seeing the flying wedge. We're seeing the football moves, the military moves, the corporate moves. They're vying for control. And other things are still, even so, percolating up through all of those forces that are trying to keep control. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's because they're not working together. They're not working together. So here's what I want to say. It becomes really important in this time to turn off the TV, to turn off the news, to walk away from the conversation, and to use your energy productively. Think about the honeybees. They're going to do what they're going to do, and what's going to happen is what is going to happen. There's nothing we can do about it by getting upset, by arguing, by using our words. It is time to use our bodies, our souls, our spirits, our minds, our whole selves in cooperation with each other. Incorporated, we, the people, incorporated with each other to build the new, because the old is dying. We are experiencing the death, the last grips of the death vice. The ultimate power grabs, the ultimate freak out. We must have control. Like, just let them think they do. They don't. They can't. That's not how nature works. We don't have time to fight them. We must build the new. That's the message of this moon. That's really what I'm going to be talking about forever. It's right there. It's right there. That's what the planets are saying. It's so pretty. So pretty. Love you guys. Thanks for being with me. Thanks for incarnating. Thanks for coming here now. You came here now for a reason. You're part of this. You have something to bring. Do not let the culture tell you what that needs to look like, how dramatic it needs to be, how many pats on the back you need to get for it. We're here for each other. We're here for each other. That's all. It's very simple. It's very simple. We love, we support, we serve each other, we do this thing together, we go with the flow, we listen, we grow. That's what we're doing. Okay, see you next time.